Okay, I'm recording to the other camera, so what I'll do, after the lesson's over with, I will upload it to YouTube, okay? So, the metronome. Let's talk about the metronome. First of all, Charles, how long have you been playing? And what kind of music do you play? Now, there you go. Alright, sure. No problem. Okay, so what we're going to do now, let's work with the metronome. Alright. Standard for the metronome. You put the metronome on whatever number you want. Hey, come on. 60. Yeah, I know you've been here before. And I'm going to be making some videos, as a matter of fact, for my website. They're instructional videos that will be for sale. Okay, so let's talk about the metronome. I'm going to put the metronome on 60. Now standard, when you say 60, let me move the screen in a little closer because I really can't see it. Hold on. That might be better. Oh. All right. I know you've been here before, dear Charles. Not a problem. Anyway, let me get to this metronome. The standard is when you say, let's say we set the metronome to 60. Well, what that does is represent beats per minute. BPM. Okay? So now I put the metronome on 60. That means that's equal to the quarter note. I hope you can hear that. You can hear the metronome, everybody. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, that's standard. I'm using that as the quarter note. But now how many have ever used the tick as a half note? I'm going to use the quarter note to make that a half note. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on. Well, that's a good thing, Stacy. You can hear it until I play, which means I'm right on it. Thank you. So, we understand the quarter note. That's the quarter note. If you'd like, I'll play on a pad so you can hear it. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you hear that? One, that's the metronome. 3. Now, we're going to do the metronome as half notes. What that means now, a half note is equal to 2 quarter notes. Alright? So now, every tick is going to equal 2 quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we go back to quarters. 1, 2, 3, quarter note, 2, 3, half note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now, let's make that tick the whole note. The whole note equals how many quarter notes? 4. So I have to get 4 quarter notes in there. 1, 2, 3, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 half note. Whole note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what kind of drum pad this is? And it's really good. I don't use it that much because I like to play on the snare drum more so than anything, because I perform on a snare drum as opposed to a drum pad. But that's an off-world percussion drum pad, and that's really made for drum corps. So do we understand how to use that metronome? Quarter notes, half notes, and whole notes. 1, 2, 3, half note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, whole note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Do we understand that? Stacy, Charles, Robert, do we understand that? Different ways to use the metronome. There's a couple more, but I'm not going to get into that. All right, it's hey, Hoist, how are you? Okay, we all understand it, no problem. Now, let's work with the bass drum. You know, when I do this Shafee book, I normally like to warm up with that bass drum on 16ths. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4. So let's try it here. 1 E and the 2, 3, just the bass drum. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 E and the 2 E and the. Now try to do that for 3-4 minutes every day. If you do that in about 2 months, you'll have a monstrous foot. Well, you have to remember something. When you're doing something like that, there's a lot of muscle being used. And your body perhaps is not accustomed to that. So when you're doing that, 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the, for a period of time, you want to be careful. If you have any kind of stress, any kind of pain or discomfort, stop, because you will hurt yourself. Okay? Do we understand that? Now, I normally play that for 2 or 3 minutes to warm up, and I use the Shafee book, but I want to use the stick control book. We're going to take the bass drum as 16th notes, 1 E and a 2, 3, 4. And we're going to play the stick control book now. 4 E and a 1, and a 4, line 2, 3, line 3, 1 E. Do we understand that? Now, another thing that you want to do with the bass drum, other than 16ths, is 8th note triplets. Can you hear the bass drum, people? 1, 2, 3. Now, this is actually directed, and I apologize if you get the wrong impression here. This is directed to Stacy. All right, now I'm going to play the 8th note triplet with the bass drum, and you know, you're developing that bass drum foot. 1, 2, 3. Now hi-hat 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Now you want to use the jazz pattern. Now if you're going to have problems with the jazz pattern at first, just play quarter notes. Then, I didn't have the metronome on. Okay. Now, that's a great exercise directed to you, Stacy, because as you do this for a period of time, against quarter notes, this will come in. You're controlling, you're focusing 1 and the 2 and the 4 and the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4. Now my scene that you're using the bass drum as a crutch, but you're not. Okay? What you're doing is using the hi-hat as a pivot point. That hi-hat is constant. Heel, toe, heel, toe. That's 1, 2 is closed, 3 is open, 4 is closed. So it's 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4. Now, you have the syncopation book by any chance? What did I do with the syncopation book? Oh, here you go. Good page for you, Stacy. In the syncopation book, everybody, go to page 14. And this is going to help you with the jazz pattern as well. It's going to help everybody. We're going to page 14, lesson 6. Everybody let me know when they're on. What we're going to do is we're going to play the left foot, heel and toe. 1 and the 2 and the, and we're going to play the line down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and the 2, 3, 4. Up, 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 up. 3, 4. Line 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Everybody there yet? Syncopation book? It's just a move to control that bass drum. Good, Charles. So you have 1, line 1. Alright, you're on line 1. You're going to play it for the with the bass drum. Hoist, get it out, man. So I'm looking at the line. You're learning how to read as well. It's improving your reading at the same time. But you're using your bass drum as you're exercising the bass drum to control it. So if I played the first line, it would be 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 1 and the 2 and line 2, 4, 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we all know how to play that. That's not a problem. You know how to play that whole page, Charles? Now let's add to that the ride cymbal. Your left foot's already going on 2 and 4, so you have number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now just play quarter notes with the ride cymbal. Watch. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what I'm doing, well, you should be able to play that through. You need to, you know, you can play each line separately because each one has its own personality. And it's set for it different. You have to, first though, you say you can't play it through. If you could play line 1, you could play the whole page. It's not a problem. You need to develop the counting system right now, then eventually the humming system. Well, you're going to count when you're doing this, Charles, is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and let me play just the first line on the snare drum, just with my right hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and Hey Charles, do you have my email? That's mattpatella1001@gmail.com. Maybe you need a few Skype lessons. It'll help you out. It'll make all this a whole lot more better for you. And this will start making a whole lot of sense. Well, how can that throw you off if that's your timekeeper? Why? Forget the bass drum. All right, no, forget the hi-hat and just play the bass drum in the ride cymbal, like so. 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4. Thank you, Stacy. That'll help you. Just lay it in there. Email me, we'll talk, and we'll get on Skype, okay? All right, now, that's my email. Email me, we'll talk. Anyway, Stacy, you might be interested in this. You know, I'm putting Zoom on my computer, but here's what I like to do. I'm going to stay with Skype for a while until I see how Zoom works. But what I've done with Seth, for example, he's taking Skype lessons. I do a few things on the drum pad. Then he gets on the phone and I schedule a lesson on my site, which is private. It's for him and I. And I demonstrate on the drum set what I'm talking about, okay? And explain it in detail. And I record it. And I send it to him. Now I record it on the site. So, not on YouTube. Well, there's nothing to coordinate the last two. You know, you're playing quarter notes. 1, you got to think triplets here, Charles. Like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you're thinking triplets and you're playing the first note of the triplet is the downbeat. So you're counting. You got to do it slow. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you need to keep that count going on. Now the first measure is 1 and Now that's not hard. 1 and then you have 2 and 3 and 4 and well, that'll lead you into the jazz pattern. You're doing quarter notes. You sit there and do triplets with the bass drum for 3 minutes. Do this for 3 minutes. You'll get that ride cymbal pattern. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You see, teaching is really colorful. And you get to understand someone's personality. And it's most drummers, it's not anybody in particular. But they want instant success. And they have to realize that going forward and getting better is hard work. And you have to be humble and you have to pay your dues. Now, I never just sat down and played the jazz pattern and played the page with my bass drum or the snare drum. I sat there for days. What is this? I sat there for days and going, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's the only way you're going to get that. You have to focus, even if you do it this slow. Look, 1. Now you already know that on the count of 1, your ride cymbal and bass drum are in unison. 1. Now you know that on the and of the triplet is just the bass drum. And. Then the da by itself. Da. Now 2, they're in unison again. 2, then and is by itself, and. Now da is the right cymbal and bass drum. Da. And you practice that slow, Charles? Charles, do you practice it that slow? No response, Charles. You still there? Everybody's off. Well, that's how you got to do it. But you have to have the patience. I mean, sometimes, you know, it's hard to teach a group because all the drummers are at a different level. So somebody who can play this really well and somebody who can't is having problems with it, you know, it gets a little boring for everybody. That's why Skype lessons or private lessons on my site are good. So think about it, Charles. And there's a lot to do on the drum pad as well. But you know, the first thing you want to do, if you could just play the quarter notes, play the bass drum, watch. I'm going to try to do maybe 6, 7 lines. 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Line 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and the 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 3. Line 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and the 4, and the 1, and the 2, and 4, and the 1, and the 2, 3, 4. It's a simple process. That's what you need to do. I mean, you know, I didn't just pick up the drumsticks and say, okay, boom. What is this? I don't like this. You have to do everything slow until you get it right. And then when you get it slow, you're developing control. You've developed control at that particular tempo. And you stay there for a while, and the tempo will get better and better, and stronger and stronger. That's one of the elements of becoming better, is focus and consistency. Another way to do this, and I don't want to confuse you, but that's just playing the quarter note. If I said to you, play triplets, like on the snare drum, nice and slow, a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and a 2, 3, 4. Just another way. Well, you can play it with the jazz pattern, but just do what I just did. Play triplets on a snare drum with the left hand. Or the right hand. Like this. It's giving you control of any combination of limb exercise that you want to do. That's what the object is. I could play alternating triplets. 3 and the 4 and the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4. So on and so forth. And I'm not going to write all this stuff down, but there are going to be instructional videos on my site for sale. Okay? Now, I specifically did that because a couple members had requested, they're having problems with this. And this is a direction to get there. If I play just triplets with the bass drum, quarter note, it does become boring and monotonous after a while. So what you want to do now is challenge that and take each line. You understand? There's all kinds of elements to do with that jazz pattern. And yeah, sometimes it's my fault. I kind of cater to the advanced players, and I don't really try to eliminate other players from different levels, but you know, after a while I got to give them something too. I'm sure that you guys understand that. You understand that, Robert, Stacy? What do you practice on the drum pad there, Charles? Throw something at me that you practice. Waiting on you, Charles. You know, it's not just making on a practice pad. You practice, you exercise your hands. You see, drumming is it's not a sport, but it is very physical. So what you want to do, okay, is you want to develop that physical sense that you're using. So if I did triplets, 1 and 2, and mental, 4 and if I played with one hand, and I did the line with one hand and played triplets on the bottom. Excuse me. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Just another way. There's all kinds of different ways. Charles, throw something at me that you play on the drum pad. I spent many years and many hours on the drum pad with Mr. Stick Control book. All right. No response. Okay. Stick Control book. Let's have a little fun before I sign off. Let me drop that at 160. I'm just going to vamp one measure, say 4 measures with the right, 4 measures with the left. So on and so forth. Okay, it's going to take me some time to upload that video, but that's okay. If it helps, it helps. I hope you didn't go anywhere, Charles. Now, I will be back tonight, 7 p.m. Not on this site, but on my site, MattPatellaLiveLessons.com, 7 p.m. So try to be there. Hoist! Did you understand what we did with the metronome yesterday? Hoist? You there? Because I'm going to review it again tonight. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Charles, be there. I opened the site. You're welcome to come there. Stacy, would you do me a favor and put my site there, www.mattpatellaLiveLessons.com. I'd appreciate that, Stacy. Stacy's going to do that for me. I can't get to the keyboard. I got to set this up just a little different. www.mattpatellaLiveLessons.com. Thank you, Stacy. So Charles, be there tonight if you can at 7 p.m. It's free. I'm keeping everything open until January 1. After January the 1st, it's only for paid members on my site. YouTube is going to be free. Donations are accepted. And Facebook is going to be free. Where did Hoist go? Okay, guys, I'm going to need to sign out. I'm going to upload the video, put it on, on YouTube. So, guys, have a good rest of the day. See everybody tonight, 1 p.m.